like that. Well, in order for that to happen, first we have to know what we have to do. Then we have to know what is required. And then we have to begin to put it into practice. And as we put it into practice, we begin to see the evidences of its goodness. But we have to be careful that we don't take the credit for it, that it's I that do the job, or it's I got it understood, I got it. And the truth is, we get it as we live it. We don't get it just because we know it. If you know a thing and you don't do it, you just know about it. You really don't know it. It takes experience. It takes fortitude. It takes tribulation. Because in knowing anything, you're going to find out that you're going to have some tribulation in being able to do it. And you'll need to buck up a little bit and check on and kind of guard and kind of gauge yourself so that you say, where are we at in our Christian walk? So we're going to do we've dealt with the book of John and in Romans, and it all started when we started in Ephesians, the first chapter, where we've come into a predestined plan of God, and and when we first hear it, it's pretty exciting, and it suggests that we are in a class all by ourselves, but it's not true. The truth is, he wants all of us to be in a God class. Where we end up in this life that we live has a lot to do with how you respond, how much you hunger, and where your tolerance is. And it's not for me to judge anybody. But there are some things that will help us along the way. You need to be continually getting better at this Christian life. And you need to begin to not be so intimidated because the world thinks that it's not necessary, or thinks that you're weaker because you actually have a performance of a righteous act. We've gotten so used to people using lies and trickery in their way of life and their behavior that, they finally come out and actually admitted it. Fake it till you make it. You're never going to do that. You're going to get caught in the middle of a refuge. That's a good word for it. Your own refuge. But I got an answer for you. God is still able to take us out of our refuge. And so we're going to be in, and I've been putting this off, and I didn't know when we were going to fit it in, if we were going to this year or not. But this will be like the next 2 weeks will be like a finishing of almost a whole year of teaching. Because you need answers, don't you? Then don't go through life without them. And don't get sleepy on me. You guys are too talented, and God has gifted you too much to put this important thing away. So we're going to look at it in the first verse of Ephesians 6. And I know we hear these, but you know what? When I heard this, it has been a guide in my life in all the different ventures I've had in the workplace. And because of this principle, I always advanced. I always increased. Just because of this principle. But we're going to talk to the children for a minute. Children? Are you listening to me, children? Yep. The little ones, are you listening? Obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. We know these things, don't we? And I'm pretty convinced that everybody here has followed that rule of thumb in their life. And because of it, you are blessed. And because of it, you can look for a longevity of life on the earth. So take a hold of it. Believe it. Receive it. And so I want to work on the word for obey. I'll just look at it real quick. In the vines. It's a noun. Do we all know what that is, kids? It's obedience to hear. You won't obey if you don't hear. So it challenges us to listen. And that's men and women, that's our kids, but that's the wife and the husband. Let's don't try and trump everybody because we know it a little bit of what they're going to say. Because you know the first maybe few words, but you might miss the end. And because of it, you didn't hear them. You made it up because it was familiar. So we need to listen closely. And when we do that, we will get an answer. Without that, you don't get an answer. You can live in your pompous whatever, but you're not going to get the answer that you need from your spouse or your children, or the children from their parents. So if you didn't hear them, don't be intimidated to say, I didn't catch it all. Because most of the time we don't. That's one thing about growing up, kids. Pay close attention. The next one is being obedient in obeying. It is not personalized, as in the next part of the verse, servants of obedience, but simply shown to be the effect of a presentation mentioned. So what do you think of that one? You understand what it says? You become a presentation. So in listening, it's more than just hearing it with the ears, isn't it? Yes. It's putting all of your attention to respond accordingly. This is just adulthood stuff now. And adults don't do that. How many times have you seen people interrupt you in the middle of a speech or in the middle of what you're saying? What do they do that for? They haven't listened to you all the way out. First of all, it's disrespectful. Secondly, you're never going to get an answer that way. As this becomes a practice in our life and as we grow up in this dimension, you're going to have a lot less trouble in your relationship with your children and your wife. With my kids, they like to speak mumblies. They think it's cute. But when they do that, you don't understand what they said. So they think it's funny, but the truth of the matter is they never get the right answer. Because they're not speaking clearly. They really don't want an answer from you. They think they have the answer. We're the same way, beloved. We may not speak mumblies, but we do the same thing. It's a time for us to grow up into an adulthood and begin to take the stress off our life by hearing it properly and not leaving it to our imagination. And one of the best things for ladies are they think that you should read their minds in some areas. Stop it. Because sometimes you get the wrong answer. That's all of us. And so that's just in the word of obedience, beloved. The second one, honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment of promise. So I thought this would be pretty interesting, didn't you? You know what that word promise really is in the, I go a little bit further than just the Strong's. It is a verb. Primarily, Larry, you're going to love this, a law term. Denoting a summons. Also meant an understanding to do or to give something a promise. Expect in its usage, except in its usage. Only of the promise of God, if frequently stands for the things promised, and so signifies a gift of graciousness. That's why don't tell me something and then not do it. And if you can't accomplish that, make sure you let people know. Because if you're consistently doing stuff, saying stuff, and not doing it, people aren't going to believe you. They're not going to trust you. Even if and when it's 100% true. Because you're looking for an evidence. Husbands and wives, pay attention to me. Don't promise your wife something and then not do it. And wives, don't promise your husband something and not do it. Children, Don't promise something and never intend to do it. But bring forth every effort you have to fulfill what your word says. Is this important? Is this Christian? Is this worth hearing? How about doing? And these practices here can only do one thing for you: promote you. I don't care how much your boss might get away with lying. Don't you fall into that category. And if you stay truth and you be truthful, you don't need any kind of backup. The truth will be your backup. No matter how much they might lie, sooner or later, they get bit. I remember one time I had to lay the truck down, and I had all Lincolns on it, and it was in Elyria, Ohio. Because I run out of hours, I couldn't deliver them. But when I went in to lay it down, they were stealing. Listen to this. Because other car haulers were in there as well. They had stolen a couple of car haulers full of cars because there's a port there. So I calls up my boss. His name was Jerry, and I said, Jerry, I'm going to give you a heads up on this. Do you want me to stay here, or do you want me to go someplace else? Because they're stealing complete car haulers out of here. This is what you need. You need this kind of character. It's not about you and about just what you want. When you're working for somebody, you're not working for them, you're working for Christ. We get over this, their shenanigans, it always catches up to them. I don't even know where Jerry is anymore, but he was a good boss until he got to the head hunt, until he got up, way up. And then he learned to lie just like everybody else. And I said, this is not on me, Jerry. This is 100% on you. If something happens here, you're going to be responsible. See, lying never works. Lying never produces anything good. And so it's important that we take and obey our parents, and then as we obeyed Mama and Daddy, I think all of you do here. So you can expect, this is a legal term, God's going to hold His word up in your life, and you can expect to live longer. You don't have to take no pills. You don't have to be worried about genetics, because you're in a new class. You've been born again. I don't know whether you want to believe it or not, but I do. And because of it, I've lived this principle since I've been working. I do it for God and not for man. And so the third verse, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And 4, and ye fathers, this is the good one, provoke not your children to wrath. Now, it doesn't mean that you aren't disciplined, that they're not supposed, you're supposed to instruct them and discipline them. But I can't really take credit for this, but I can tell you what my practice was, and my girls will tell you for sure. After the discipline, I would love them. They come here and love Daddy. And I'd hold them and I'd love them until they didn't have any anger in them. At least I didn't think they did. And if they did, they didn't express it. Not to me. That's what you do. You have to discipline. But love is the key. You'll see. But love isn't mushy. Love is not discipline. Love is with discipline. Love is with requirements. Love is with respect. It isn't like the world has it. That's not love. That's perversion. So, in number 4, so we're not going to provoke our kids to wrath, and that's what it means. It doesn't mean that they're not going to get disciplined. You better know how to discipline. But you can't do it in anger, and you can't do it in wrath. You can't do it. If you do those things, you're going to get them back. It's not going to be any good for you. It's not going to be any good for your children. They have to know discipline. They have to know order. And that's what we're to teach them as parents. But then we're to show them every bit as much love. Nobody's saying anything. Are they? So I don't know if you really agree or not. Maybe you think you got a better idea. Well, go ahead and see where it leads you. Do this and you'll find out that it will always bring harmony in the home. Always. So, that's the parents and the kids. And remember what I said? When you obey Mama and Daddy, you have a promise. And what is it? It's a legal document. God's going to honor that. He's going to honor His word. He's going to honor it for you and in you. And so now we're going to go to the next segment here. Bondservants and masters. This is going to be a little bit more. Sometimes we get, how many of you have thought that you knew more than your boss? Huh? What do you do in that situation? So listen to it, so you can know and have peace. Because just because you know something maybe a little more than they do at one thing or another, don't mean you know more than they know. And if you don't have the authority to initiate it, be at peace. Because I'll tell you, if you step over the line, you're going to get stung. Because you're going to find out that they do know things you don't know. And they have authority that you don't have. Now, this is what I would do at work, is I would suggest a particular thing in a particular area that you need to be aware of. For instance, I got pulled over at a way station right there in off of 275. And this guy was overzealous in his. He was he was a cop, and he was overzealous, and he would just actually, he had no reason to do this, but he did it anyway. And he was tagging our trucks. So when I went in, I said, just a heads up to the boss. We got a Rambo out there. You better make sure, because not everybody could pass the inspection. You listening? Yep. This is what I'm talking about. If we work together, they'll respect you, but you need to respect them. You'll find out it's going to be a whole lot easier on you, and guess what? You're going to keep getting promoted. You will. And you won't have to work for it. It'll just come right to you. This is the benefits of this kind of life and this kind of thinking. So we'll start it here. The bondservant and the master. Ephesians 6 and 5. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters, according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in a singleness of your heart, as unto Christ. That always kept me centered in my workplace, because I'm going to tell you something. I got hit just like you do. And lots of times it was just because of politics and because of jealousy of your people around you. And you got emotions you have to deal with. Unless you don't have them, and I don't know anybody that don't have them. Even if you're passive, you have them. And instead of fighting against everything, I just remembered what the Lord said. So if I was unjustly done, here's another one. I went into a way station, and this is in Michigan, and the truck that I had didn't have all of its permits on it. You listening? So I get rode up. But I didn't have any authority to put any of those permits on. They were supposed to be put on when I took that truck by the garage, the maintenance people. That was their job. So I get called in there, and they and I grieved it in a grievance because they put it on my record. But in the grievance, I wrote it very clearly. They were at fault. They neglected to do their job. Do you know what they did after that? They put a post up. Listen to this, Mackenzie. In the driver's room. All drivers now have to check all the permits on their trucks. And the thing is, this was not my truck. It was a spare because my truck was in the shop. Do you know what? I got paid for that because I put it into a group grievance. I got paid for that after I retired. I'm telling you, God will take care of you. But you know, I just took it up as a loss. I didn't let it burn on me anymore. But that's what can happen. So, but I always wanted to make sure the company made money, but I always got voted in as a steward on the job. I was working both ends. But I could do that. You can do that by just being honest and not lying. You don't have to lie. And so we need to be obedient to where we're working. And now if it's going to break the law, now then I wouldn't be obedient. Because they would send us out illegal and threaten us to go out illegal. But you don't have to. And I wouldn't. See what I'm talking about? This is so precious. This Christian life, people want to make it some kind of an elite thing. You'll have an elite class because you don't lie, cheat, or steal. And I guarantee you, that'll only promote you, whatever you do. Even if they fire you, they're going to have to deal with God, not you. The next one is pretty cool. Not with eye service, as man pleasers, but as the servant of Christ, doing the will of God from our heart. What is that? It's doing the best job you possibly can. Whether they pay you properly or not. Because I love building. You love building. How many love building here? You love seeing the finished product? Yep. Would it always be perfect when you finished it? Well, it would be satisfying to us to be able to just get it together and do things right as much as we could. Doesn't mean we can't do it better. Right. Or that might not have a better idea later on. Right. That's what we're talking about here. Not man pleasers, but doing it unto the Lord. And that's coming now out of our heart. I want to do it. I want to complete my job. Everybody that starts a job and doesn't complete it, I like to kick them in the rear. because it gets a little hard or it gets a little difficult or whatever, I like to kick them right in the rear. You know why? Because you don't have to be there. You may have to take on some more intelligence. You may have to take on a little better skill. You may have to search out a little bit to finish the job. But don't leave it undone. And people do that in their life all the time. They get a little hard thing going on, they want to run away. Let me tell you something. That road, that dead-end road will be yours forever till you learn to finish it. And so you do it with, you put it in your heart. I started it. I didn't know it was going to be this difficult, but I'm going to finish it. Well, how are you going to do that? I'm going to have to search it out until I find it. Do that with your Christian life. Don't be satisfied with anything you can't take and God give you peace over. Because all of us have cleaning up that needs to be done in our lives pretty continually. And as we become persistent to not let that stay in us, it has to leave. Because He's put a new mind in us, put a new heart in us, a new goal in us. Verse 7. With goodwill, doing service also as to the Lord and not to man. How many of you know what a suck-up is? Oh, I love it. Everybody that's ever worked with a bunch of people, you're going to find out that there's going to be at least one suck-up. They never make it, beloved. Sometimes they get in a higher position, fake it until they make it, but when push comes to shove, the end result will be, you know how they end up? Devastated and with nothing. Because they didn't have anything to give. They were taking it from somebody who had it. So don't be a suck-up. Come on, you guys. You can laugh a little bit. Oh, my goodness. So don't be a man pleaser. 8, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. How many remember the story of Joseph? We really have to, we get used to this living in comfort and living like we are really very well blessed. But how do you like to be called of God to be a Pharaoh, to lead his people, because there was no one in the family to take and continually live in the promises of God. And so Pharaoh was in the prison, unjustly judged, unjustly condemned, and yet in prison. See what I'm talking about here? Sometimes you become a prison to yourself. In fact, we all do at times. Like, I'll stumble, especially right now when I can't see real good. I don't let it get me down, but there's times when I have to really focus just to see one word. And maybe not see the whole word in essence. And when I was younger, all I had to do was look at the first letter and I knew the word, but lots of times it wouldn't be the right word. That's what you call not paying close enough attention to the word. Not paying attention to every syllable and every vowel. But the truth is, as I got older, I pay more attention. But now, sometimes my eyes get blurry and I can't see them clearly. Some of the letters sometimes I can't distinguish one letter from another. I do pretty good like this. I said that to say this. You'll have things that bug you too. But he always makes up the difference. God will always make up the difference in your life. I'm not afraid of it. I just keep believing. And lots of times I see pretty clear. Sometimes I don't see so clear. Sometimes when I should see clear, I don't see so clear. But I focus it in. And somehow God enables me. And so you see, we all have things that we could be. We all have shortcomings, let's put it that way. But the truth is, don't focus on your shortcomings. Keep trusting in Him, because faith of the Lord, there's more faith in God than you had ever could imagine, and it's more faith in God than you have right now. But you're being challenged to go beyond where you are, to believe Him in places you've never believed Him before. And when He shows up, He adds that faith to you. And you can put that in your workplace, your family. Listen, Mama, she's got to be super with kids, because there's always something going wrong. Always something happening when they're growing up. And guess who's there all the time? Mama. And I'll tell you what, if you're just trying to do it on your own, you need to know the Lord. Because He's the miraculous God. He will come to our rescue. He will come to your rescue in all the deficiencies that you might have. Call on Him. And then begin to walk towards Him, believing Him. Now listen to His Holy Spirit. And let His Holy Spirit begin to guide you. And obey it. It's a summons. Obey it. Knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. So and believe it or not, that we're in different states of that. Sometimes you're bound with your weakness. And you've tried everything and it doesn't seem to work. Well, stop trying so hard and start trusting Him. Start looking for an answer instead of fighting all the time. or trying to hang on to something that doesn't work? How many times do you hang on to something that doesn't work just because you like it? It's not working for you. I got one more. We're going to do it. We're going to be early today, so I don't want to go any further than this. And ye masters, do the same thing unto them, forbearing, threatening, knowing that your master also is in heaven, neither is there respect of person with him. He's been really awakening me to a heart of forgiveness. We can get so caught up in what we know and the words we learn to pronounce and the Greek and the Hebrew that actually open up a whole new venue of life to us through words. But yet we need to come and become mature enough to take and want to know how to act and operate in those words. And as you do, it's not for you to judge somebody else because they're not where you are, or they don't feel like you feel, or whatever. Familiarity breeds familiarity. But God wants us to be like him, always forgiving. And here's one for you. Full of mercy. There's a similarity to grace and mercy. A lot of people think grace is mercy. It's not. It's not. Mercy has the ability to redeem you. Grace enables you so you can be redeemed. See the difference? But now in definition, it'll be the similarity will be the same. Seems to be pitiful and pious and stuff like that. And you have to be careful because that's not weak. That's very strong. Because now you have to learn to take on the character of mercy. Let grace work. Grace will not work its perfect work without mercy. But mercy never got the job done in the Old Testament. You know why? It didn't cost them anything but a sacrifice. There was no real personal requirement. They couldn't because of the old nature, and you got to be careful. Have you put on a new nature? Yes. Have you been born again? Yes. Then put on that new nature. That's a putting on. We're going to get to that next week. But for this week, we're just looking at some very simple principles that you can always be successful no matter where you go, whatever kind of job you do. You'll be able to be successful in your marriage. You'll be able to be successful with your children. Say, well, I know all this stuff. Well, let's see how much you can do of it. Because knowing about something is wonderful. But if you don't ever know what to do with what you know, that's not so good. Not at all. I was looking at little Zeke over here, now on the xylophone. He's picked up another instrument. And I know he was playing it according to its music. He doesn't just know music. Now he's knowing how to apply music in different venues. Please hear me. I know this seems like maybe it's a simple message, but I'll tell you what, so many people are tripping and falling over all that they think they know that they will not and cannot do. Thinking that it's all right. It's never all right to know something and not know what to do with it. It's never all right. And so in our behavior, this book of Ephesians was an instruction book of what? Those that were called out, those elected ones. And God, say, well, I don't know if I'm elected. Well, you are, if you ask him in your heart. He's not going away. And he's not going to leave you. And he's not here to bury us because we don't know. He wants to give us the properties that we can begin to function in the kingdom of God on an everyday basis and not be disappointed in our work. Thank God for people that can work, don't you? Yes. You know everybody that just gets the freebies? You know why this inflation has went so bad? You want to know the basis of it? The trick of it is to give you something you didn't work for. Give you something you have no value of. And to be brainwashed like that. Let's stand. Is everybody happy? I hope